Top of the morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to all the coaches. All right, Dermot here. We're going to be talking today about, in our next class, we're going to be talking about how to create a group. Now, it could be a group, could be, a group for a workshop, a group for a talk, a group for a seminar, a group for a webinar. But how do you create an online group of people to come to a specific workshop or talk or seminar that you want to give? Well, I asked Steve the very same question, Steve Chandler, my coach, a long time ago. I said, Steve, how do I fill an online group? And he said, oh, that's really simple, Dermot. You decide how many people you want to have in it, and then you keep inviting people till you have that number. Now, I thought Steve was pulling my leg. I thought, okay, Steve, there's a little bit more. I need to have a combined strategy. I need to have a marketing plan, SWOT analysis. I need to have a website, a web page, marketing structure for 6 months, so on and so on. And he said, well, you can have all those things if you want, Dermot, but he said, you can really build it one person at a time. So I'm going to show you today how to do that. Now, this way of filling online groups, it's so simple, you could think, oh, there's got to be more to it. And that's how I thought when Steve said to me, I'm going to show you how to do that one person at a time. So let's jump right in. Okay. Step one. There's 5 questions that need to be answered when you're creating a group. I have them here and I'm going to go through them with you. And I'll also share this template in class. Okay, the first question is, what are you offering? So what is your program? Is it a 3-month program? Is it a 6-month program? Is it a 1-month program? Is it a 1-year program? What are you creating your program on? So I'll give you an example. So what is your offering? I'm creating a 3-month program. We'll meet twice per month for 2 hours on a Thursday. And it's on building more self-confidence. And the cost of this is $5,000. So that's the first question. What are you offering? The second question is, and this is probably the most important one, who is it for? Is it for people who are suffering with this, people who are challenged? So the Art and Science of Business Building is a 6-month online program. It costs $4,500. And it's for coaches. That's who it's for. It's for coaches who want to build a part-time or a full-time practice. That's a really good question. Who is it for? Maybe you love working with nonprofit organizations, and it's for people of nonprofit organizations. Maybe it's for people who, have a lot of fear in their life and they want to have less fear. Okay, number 3, why are you doing it? Now, this question, it's a really simple one, but I would encourage you to spend time on it. Now, sometimes the answer could be obvious because it sounds like a lot of fun, because I'd love to. Or you could go a little bit deeper and you might think, I love working with this group of people. I come from this background. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of experience in this area, of meditation or self-development. And I want to do a program on that. And so why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I want to give back. I want to serve to this particular group of people. So what's your why? Number 4. It's a great question. I learned this from Steve. What's your promise? What's your promise to the people that are going to take your program? In other words, here's a really easy way to look at it. I promise that if you take the Art and Science of Business Building, you will learn the tools that you can use for the rest of your life to build a part-time or full-time business. So what's your promise to the people? What will people experience at the end of your program? That's a different way of asking it. Another way of asking that question is, what will people experience more of from taking your program? And what will people experience less of by taking your program. So maybe if it's a program on confidence, you might say you'll experience more confidence in your personal, professional life, in your relationships, at your work, in your everyday life. And you'll experience less fear when you're going to ask for a promotion, or you'll have less fear in your relationship. You'll have less fear in taking risks. You'll have less fear in having more fun in your life. It's a great question. What's your promise? What do you promise people will get or experience from your program? And the last one is number 5, is how many people do you want to have in your program? Again, there's no correct way of answering those questions. You can have them in any order. I like that order. It seems to work well for me. But you take those questions and ask. So let me give you them again. So what is it that you're offering? Who is it that you're offering it to? Why are you offering it? What's your promise to the people who will take your program? And how many people do you want to have take your program? And this will be explained more in the homework in a moment. Okay, so that's the 5 questions that need to be answered before you make your list of people. So for creating an online group, number 1, make a list of people that you want to invite. So let me show you. I'm going to take you through this in a particular order. So the first one is you make a list of people that you'd love to invite to your program. Now, I specifically, Steve said to me, Dermot, you want to have 3 months of marketing. You want to have 3 months of prepping and we're going to talk about this more in class, but 3 months of letting people know what you're doing. Okay. And there's a very specific way of doing that, which we'll talk about in class. So the first step 1 is you make a list of people that you want to have that you want to invite to your program. So let's say you decide, I want to have 25 people in my program. And then you make a list of 25 or 50 people that you would love to invite to your program, people that you know would benefit from your program. So one of the questions, was, who is this for? So it might be for people who need more confidence in their lives. So, oh yeah, Mary and John and Patrick and Jeff, I know they could do it more confidence. And so you make a list of those people. That's step 1. Now, step 2, you create a chart. Now, the chart might look like this. This is how Steve taught me. And this, by the way, is how I fill all my groups. I've done a lot of groups over the last 10 years. And I wish I had have known this. I only learned this from Steve probably 5 years ago. But the different groups that I've done, from the art and science to the master classes to the different self-development, organizational development stuff that I've done over the past years, I've used this model. Now, there are 2 ways to fill a group. You can go far and wide, which means you can market to a really big audience of people, or you can go close and deep. Now, the way I'm teaching it, and again, it's not the perfect way, it's a way, is near and deep. You go with the people that you know and you invite them from there. Okay, so step 2. After you make a list of people, then you put it on a chart like this, and you scale it. Let me see if I have a little arrow or a spotlight. Yeah, an arrow. Okay. So you scale it from high, medium, and low. Now, what does that mean? We're scaling the connection. So on a scale of 1 to 10, so you might have John. Maybe it's your neighbor or somebody you know, and you say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's my connection with John? Well, I know John well. We went out for drinks. He's been over to the house. I know a little bit about his job. I know he's challenged with confidence. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, my connection is pretty solid with John. So you'd scale a 9. Now, another way you can do it is you can color code it. Like a lot of times I will color code my charts. Sometimes I'll put them on a whiteboard, and sometimes I'll put them on a huge whiteboard in my office, a paper whiteboard. And I'll do this on a paper whiteboard, which is how I did it for the art and science the last 3 years. And so maybe you color code it. So one way you could do it is the hearts. That means you've got a really good connection with these particular people. And then maybe for medium, you give them stars. And again, you can use any color you want. If you like blue, red, and green, you can use blue for deep connection, green for medium connection, and red for no connection, however you want to do it. And so the stars then, medium connection is anywhere between a 4 and a 6. High connection is 6 to 10. Low connection is, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. And so you might have a star for medium connection, and then you might have a question mark for really low connection. You don't know this person. You really don't know much about them at all. Maybe they're an acquaintance at work or their colleague at work, but you haven't really, talked to them that much. But you have an idea that this program would be helpful to them. So step 1 is make a list of people. Step 2 is then you create in the marketing world, they call this low-hanging fruit, which means people that you really know. And usually I will start with people that I have a deep connection with. Again, it's called low-hanging fruit. I just like to look at it as a deep connection. Not sure I want to see people as apples and oranges and pears for picking on trees, but hey, whatever works for you. All right. Now, number 3 then is, and you already know this, is you ponder, connect, and invite. So you ponder about John. Hey, what's John, what's he struggling with? Oh yeah, okay, I know he's struggling with that. And then you ask, okay, so how do I want to connect with John? Maybe I'll do an invite with him or a Zoom, or maybe I'll invite him to come have a conversation, which I would encourage you with the close and deep. You want to invite, if your program is, $10,000, then you want to invite people to come and have an experience, do a coaching session with them for 60 minutes. But if it's, $50, for a month or 3 months, you don't need to meet with them. But you've got to decide, do you want to meet with them, or do you just want to do this over email? Again, I meet with everyone that's interested in the art and science. I will usually give them 1 to 2 hours of my time. I'll coach them. I'll give them an experience of the program, because the experience is what sells, not the marketing material or, your website and all of that stuff. Okay, so you ponder, you connect with John, and then you invite John. And I invite you to be creative with your emails. If it's a Zoom or if it's a video or whatever it might be. Now, you might be thinking, well, do I need to send a flyer and all that? I typically don't. If I'm meeting with people and coaching them, I don't send any flyers or any information or anything like that. I meet with them for a conversation. And again, based on the price of your program, you can decide whether or not you want to meet with people one-on-one for 30 minutes or for 60 minutes, give them an experience of the program, and then go from there. All right, so 1 is make a list. Number 2 is create a chart. Number 3 is ponder, connect, and invite. And number 4 then is explore. Once you've invited with them, you explore and propose. You do a little coaching with them, a 30-minute session. You give them an experience of it. And you ask them, hey, would you like to be part of this program? I can see where this program is really going to be very helpful for you. Now, if there was a number 5 and you want to have a number 5, it would be create a flyer or a web page. So you meet with somebody and you talk to them and you give them an experience of the program. And then they say, okay, well, let me take a look at the flyer. You go from there. Okay, so when I meet with someone, let's say I meet with John and John says, yes, I'm in. Then I take John's name and I put it in the middle. And I usually put it in capital letters. And now I know that I have John for my program. And again, you can do it however you want. And so then I go next and I go to Mary. Well, actually, I'm going to my low-hanging fruit or my love hearts, which would be Susan. Again, I go to Susan, I ponder, I connect, I invite Susan to come have a chat. I have a program. Again, we're going to look at the emails in class. I have a program, Susan. I think it'd be wonderful for you. Would you love to come in and chat to me for 20 minutes about it? I can tell you more about it. And again, if you want to have a flyer or a little web page for that, you can, but it's not really necessary because you're really inviting the person to come and have an experience of the program through coaching. Okay. So let's say you meet with Susan and Susan says, I don't know, maybe Dermot, I have to think about it. I'm not sure. Let me talk to my husband or my wife or whoever it might be. And so what you do is you keep Susan here. And what I usually do is I'll usually put a circle around Susan. That means that I've met with her and she is thinking about it. She's not sure yet. Now, if Susan says, I'm thinking about it, Dermot, can I get back to you? I'll say, yes, Susan, I'm happy to hold you a space for 2 weeks. Will you get back to me by the end of whatever the date is, the end of October? Will you do that? And then so I will put on here, I'll usually put the date of when Susan is going to get back to me. So we'll just call it October 30th. And so now I know that I've spoken with Susan, she's thinking about it, and she's going to get back to me on October 30th. Now, if you like, you could also say to Susan, hey, Susan, I'll hold a spot for you for 2 weeks. And then I'll check back in with you. Would that be helpful? And Susan says yes. And so that's another way you can do it. Now, let's say you have somebody who is you're not sure about. So Andrea K down here. So you want to connect with that person. So maybe you send an email, hey, Andrea, how's it going? How's life? How have you been doing? And she sends back, great, doing well, except for blah, 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 Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And so maybe you start to build a relationship with Andrea K. You send them a little audio or something. You say, hey, would you like some help with that? I'll give you 30 minutes of coaching on that. There's no charge. Happy to help. And so you build the connection. We all know how to do that. You're learning it in class. And you build the connection. When you have the connection up to a point, and again, 4, 5, 6, you have it up to a point where you're going to invite her, Andrea, afterwards to talk about the program. You can do that from the 30-minute coaching session that you invited her for, or you can do that on a separate occasion, however you like. You build a connection and then you invite and you tell her about the program. Okay. Now, coaches, all you have to do is keep doing this until you have all of your spaces filled. Now, sometimes Donald will say, no, I'm not interested at all. And I will usually then just, I'll either erase it or I'll put a line through Donald and I say, not yet. And I'll say, I'll keep you in the loop, Donald, for the next one. And then I'll put another person's name in here. Maybe it's Catherine. And I'll start again. And I'll say, okay, where am I with my connection with Catherine? Oh, it's pretty good. I know her very well. It's a 7. And you just keep inviting people to your program. And again, if you decide, hey, I want to give them an experience, you give them a 30-minute session or a 60-minute session. If you want to get 200 people and, it's just $50 a month or something like that, you don't have to meet with people. But you have to decide. And again, we'll talk more about that in class. All right, coaches. That is a very basic snapshot of how you fill an online group. So let's go over the basics. You make a list of people that you would love to invite. And I would encourage you to tell everybody that you're doing this. Tell all your friends, your family, everybody. Say, hey, post this on Facebook. I'm doing a course on self-confidence. Is coming up, this month or next month. And if they want to talk more, they can email me. Or if you want to have an informational flyer, if you're not going to meet with people, then you have your flyer and people connect with you that way or sign up for it that way. If you want to meet with people, then you have on your flyer, come connect with me or email me if you'd like more information. And then you connect with the person or invite the person. Make a list of people that you know. Sorry, number one is you answer the 5 questions. Number 2, make a list of all the people that you know. 3, create the chart of connection, low connection, high connection. Number 3, ponder, connect, and invite. Ponder about the person. What are they challenged with? Connect with them. If the connection is strong, invite them to come have a conversation. If it's not, work on the connection and then invite. Number 4, explore and propose. Have a coaching session with them and propose your program as a way to keep the coaching going at a very, nominal rate. And 5, then, of course, is you can create a flyer or a web page for your program. We'll talk more about this in class, coaches. Have fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to look at the video, and we'll see you all in class. Till then, think big, have fun, stay curious. Cheers.